Future Talk. Water, Food, Future. Navigating the global water crisis for food security, please welcome to the stage Cordula Schmitz from Hamburger Abendblatt.
Guten Tag, a warm welcome to Hamburg, where we surrounded by water. Fortunately today, not from above, which is normally the case in Hamburg, or quite often. I'm really happy to moderate and guide you through this panel, the future, the right for food and water. And our first guest is der Minister für Landwirtschaft, Ernährung und Heimat, Alois Rainer, der einen kurzen Impuls geben wird. Herr Rainer, darf ich Sie bitten? Vielen Dank.
Sehr geehrte Frau Rosbach, sehr geehrter Herr Minister Bredell, sehr geehrter Herr Dr. Gutu, sehr geehrter Herr Mogge, sehr geehrte Frau Dr. Bach und sehr geehrte Frau Schmitz, vor allem aber meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren. Stellen wir uns eine Welt ohne Wasser vor. Keine rauschenden Bäche und keine grünen Felder, keine reifen Früchte und kein frisches Gemüse. Keine weidenden Tiere und auch keine Menschen. Wir wissen, Wasser ist die Grundlage alles Lebens und auch unserer Landwirtschaft. Doch die Verfügbarkeit von Wasser ist nicht mehr selbstverständlich. Auch bei uns in Deutschland spüren wir die Folgen von Trockenheit immer mehr, gerade in der Landwirtschaft. Die Landwirtschaft nutzt nach Angaben der FAO rund 72% des global verfügbaren Süßwassers. Das ist auch Ausdruck der globalen Verantwortung, die die Landwirtschaft trägt. Ernten, Futtermittel, Ernährungssicherheit, all das hängt von der Versorgung mit ausreichend Wasser in guter Qualität ab. Deshalb freue ich mich heute sehr, dass wir hier zu diesem wichtigen Thema zusammenkommen. Ich begrüße Sie alle herzlich zu unserer Panel-Diskussion Water, Food and Future. Navigating the Global Water Crisis for Food Security. Bis 2050 wird die Weltbevölkerung weiter steigen. Daher wird prognostiziert, ganz selbstverständlich, dass wir auch mehr Wasser benötigen, um die wachsende Weltbevölkerung zu ernähren. Gleichzeitig nimmt der Wasserstress weltweit immer weiter zu. Gründe dafür sind neben dem Bevölkerungswachstum auch sich verändernde Ernährungsgewohnheiten sowie auch die Veränderung unseres Klimas. Umso klarer wird, eine klimaangepasste Landwirtschaft, die Wasser effizient und verantwortungsvoll einsetzt, ist kein Teil des Problems, sondern der Schlüssel der Lösung. In Deutschland waren wir es lange Zeit gewohnt, dass die Menge an Niederschlag ausreicht, um unsere Landwirtschaft fast ausschließlich mit Regenwasser zu versorgen. Doch auch wir erleben immer häufiger außergewöhnlich trockene Frühjahre, aber auch trockenere Sommer. Auch jetzt dieses Jahr wieder. Die nationale Wasserstrategie schafft einen Rahmen für die Nachhaltigkeit und angesichts dieser Herausforderungen ist dies auch notwendig. Die nationale Wasserstrategie kommt mit einem umfassenden Maßnahmenpaket, welches wir bis 2030 Schritt für Schritt umsetzen wollen. Wir schaffen damit einen Rahmen, um Wasser effizienter zu nutzen, die Qualität zu sichern und Nutzungskonflikte zu vermeiden. Die angesprochene nationale Wasserstrategie sieht vor in einem breiten Beteiligungsprozess unter Führung des Bundesumweltministeriums eine Orientierung für den Umgang mit Wassermangel zu erarbeiten. Dies geschieht aktuell und es ist unser Ziel, einen strukturierten Rahmen zu schaffen, der die Bedürfnisse etwa von Landwirtschaft, Industrie und öffentlicher Wasserversorgung in Einklang bringt. Dabei tritt mein Haus dafür ein, die Interessen der Land- und Forstwirtschaft sowie der Fischerei aktiv in den Prozess mit einzubringen, damit unsere Landwirtinnen und Landwirte auch in Zukunft ihre Felder bestellen können. Doch die Herausforderungen machen natürlich auch nicht an unseren Landesgrenzen Halt. Die EU-Kommission wird übermorgen offiziell eine EU-Wasserresilienzstrategie vorlegen. Wir begrüßen diese Initiative, die Europa wasserresilient machen will. Auch auf der internationalen Ebene gibt es wichtige Fortschritte. Besonders hervorheben möchte ich die Wassereffizienzinitiative der FAO. Sie wurde entwickelt, um gemeinsam mit Akteuren aus aller Welt die Herausforderungen einer nachhaltigen Wassernutzung in der Landwirtschaft anzugehen und so Ernährungssicherheit für alle zu gewährleisten. Ich danke der FAO und möchte den Wunsch des FAO-Generaldirektors unterstreichen, dass möglichst viele Mitgliedstaaten dieser Initiative beitreten. Ich möchte die FAO auch darin bestärken, sich weiter aktiv um die Umsetzung der UN-System-Wide Strategie for Water and Sanitation einzubringen. Und ich freue mich, an dieser Stelle auch sagen zu dürfen, unser nächstes Global Forum for Food and Agriculture im Januar 26 in Berlin wird sich intensiv mit dem Thema Wassernutzung in der Landwirtschaft befassen. Mein Ministerium engagiert sich intensiv in der internationalen Zusammenarbeit. Wir verstehen es als ein Partnerprogramm. Wir wollen deshalb die internationale Zusammenarbeit auch in Fragen des Exports weiter ausbauen. Mit Organisationen und Regierungen weltweit arbeiten wir an Innovationen und Lösungen für eine nachhaltige Landwirtschaft. Mit Partnerländern wie Sambia entwickeln wir klimaangepasste Anbauverfahren und fördern eine ressourcenschonende Landwirtschaft. Ich freue mich auch über die Beiträge der Welthungerhilfe oder die Zusammenarbeit mit Unternehmen wie Vista. Sie leisten mit innovativen Technologien einen wichtigen Beitrag, etwa mit satellitengestützter Bewässerung. Abschließend habe ich 3 zentrale Botschaften. Erstens, die Landwirtschaft ist sich ihrer Verantwortung als großer Wasserverbraucher bewusst. Wir wollen konstruktiv dazu beitragen, den nachhaltigen Umgang mit Wasser zu fördern. Zweitens, gerade weil die Landwirtschaft ein Teil der Lösung ist, muss sie als zentraler Akteur in der Wasserpolitik auf nationaler und internationaler Ebene mit eingebunden werden. Und drittens, wir brauchen einen gesellschaftlichen Konsens, dass Wasser eine essentielle Ressource für die Landwirtschaft und die Herstellung von Lebensmitteln und damit für Ernährungssicherheit ist. Gerade angesichts zunehmender Nahrungskonflikte zwischen den verschiedenen Sektoren. Ich wünsche uns allen jetzt eine gute und erkenntnisreiche Veranstaltung. Vielen herzlichen Dank.
For even more insights on the topic, I now ask on stage Dr. Viorel Gutu, Assistant Director General, Regional Representative for Europe and Central Asia, FAO. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Stage is yours. Please.
Excellencies, distinguished ministers, colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure to join you today at this Hamburg Sustainability Conference. I wanted to borrow a motto of another conference today here, a platform that is truly connecting minds and shaping the future. I'd like to thank the organizers for this invitation, and I'd like to bring warm greetings on behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The title of today's session, Water, Food, Future, could not be more fitting. It captures in just 3 words what so many communities across the world are confronting every day. A future shaped or constrained by access to water and the ability to grow food with it. Let me be direct. There is no food security without water security. Globally, as already was mentioned by the distinguished minister, agriculture is responsible for 72% of all freshwater withdrawals, making it the biggest water user sector. And in many regions, from Central Asia and the Near East to Sub-Saharan Africa, we are witnessing the compounding impacts of drought, water scarcity, infrastructure decay, pollution, groundwater depletion, and other impacts of climate change. These crises are not future projections. They are here, now. In fact, FAO recent analysis showed that around 2.5 billion people live in agriculture areas with water stress. That includes more than 1 billion people in regions facing frequent drought. As the climate warms, these stressors will only intensify, affecting not just yields, but health, nutrition, migration, and what is also important, peace. Maybe even more important for our planet. And so, water is not only a technical challenge. It is a political, economic, and human challenge, one that cuts across the entire 2030 agenda and demands action far beyond the water sector alone. At FAO, we believe water must be treated as a strategic entry point for agri-food systems transformation. This is why the topic of water has been selected to be the biennium theme for 2024-2025 by the last FAO conference. This is the organization's highest decision-making body. If we get water management and governance right in policies, investments, and on the ground, we accelerate progress toward food security, climate resilience, gender equality, and sustainable development. That is why FAO is supporting countries at 3 key levels. Let me try explore a bit these levels. First, at the farm level. We are helping farmers adapt water-saving practices, from drip irrigation and deficit irrigation to mulching, soil moisture conservation, and wastewater reuse. These methods increase productivity while reducing environmental pressure. We are also scaling up climate-smart technologies and decision support systems to guide water allocation and anticipate droughts. But technology alone is not enough. Farmers, especially women and youth, must be involved in decision-making. And incentives such as water pricing reforms or ecosystem service payments must be aligned with sustainable outcomes. Second, at the national and trust-boundary level, we are strengthening water governance, including basin-level coordination, institutional frameworks, and investment planning. In regions like Central Asia, the Horn of Africa, and the Sahel, water does not stop at borders. That's why we are working to promote cooperation over shared resources, helping governments build trust, exchange data, and design joint initiatives that can benefit all. As global water resources face increasing pressures, effective governance is vital for ensuring sustainable management and fair access to water resources, which is crucial for food security. FAO is committed to strengthen fair water allocation systems and promote dialogue around water tenure, for example, through its global dialogue on water tenure. Similarly, on 17th of October 2024, during the World Food Forum, member nations committed to engage and collaborate on identified priorities and solutions to address water security water scarcity in agriculture under the Global Framework on Water Scarcity in Agriculture, WASAG, a partnership hosted by FAO, as well as to play a strategic oversight and direction role and to mobilize the required commitments. As part of the One Health approach, we are also integrating water quality monitoring and management with food safety and human health, ensuring that our food systems don't just produce more, but produce better and safer food for all. Third level, we are working to unlock sustainable finance for water. Minister also discussed about this. Investments in water must move, and it was also, I had another channel for some time. They were discussing exactly these things in another panel, by the way. Investments in water must move from fragmented short-term fixes to integrated long-term strategies. FAO is working with partners like the Green Climate Fund, IFIs, regional banks to develop bankable investment plans that prioritize efficiency, equity, and resilience. We are also helping countries access innovative financing, including blended finance, green bonds, and public-private partnerships to scale solutions. But we cannot do this alone. That is why platforms like the Hamburg Sustainability Conference matter so much, because transforming water systems require transforming how we collaborate. Governments, science, finance, civil society, all must come to the table with shared responsibility and bold commitments. Let me conclude with a simple truth. Our most important investment is not in pipes and pumps, it is in people. Farmers, especially women, youth, and indigenous people, are not just implementers, they are innovators. They are water stewards, they are our partners in change. Let's support them with the knowledge, tools, and policy they need. Let's create enabling environments where water becomes not a constraint, but a source of resilience, dignity, and hope. Let's not miss this opportunity, because every drop counts, and every action matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gutu. We will now have a different view on the topic from 3 different people from 3 different countries. I will ask my participants from the panel, Mr. Anton Bredell from South Africa, Dr. Heike Bach, and Mr. Mathias Mogge. We have a tight schedule, so let's jump right into the questions. I will start with you, Minister Bredell, because you had the longest journey from South Africa. You are a long-serving minister in Cape Town and the Western Cape, and I think you have a lot of experience with severe drought and recently with flooding. Your country already had a strong experience during 2016 and 2018 when day 0, meaning Cape Town would run out of water, almost happened. What best practice models are you now using to face future severe droughts and flooding?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege and honor to being here. First of all, let me start off by thanking the German government. They are a long-standing partner of South Africa and also the Western Cape. And the investments before the drought, we must never underestimate the investments that Bavaria, the Free State of Bavaria, Munich, the partners has done through research and helping us. That plays out when you get a drought, that you've got the systems to protect your residents. In the Western Cape, I think it's important to understand that everything also happens in the context of different countries. In our country, we deal with poverty, inequalities, unemployment. In the Western Cape specifically, a population growth of 19.6%. It's huge. So a lot of people, when a drought hits you, will ask you, why haven't you prepared better? Well, we had to solve education. We had to solve dignified life to all. We had to solve health issues. So then the drought hit us, and it's important to understand, first of all, the conditions that you work with. So at that stage, the average water consumption per household was 183 liters, 183 liters per person per day. We managed to push that down within a year and a half to 84 liters, 54% reduction through communication, water restrictions, etc. And I think that plays a huge role in saving you when there's a drought. Being quite honest and open with your communities. We do struggle with social media. Social media is great, but there's people that can sow chaos with, can create a bit of panic in the system. So you need, as a government, to be ahead of that curve, talking to the people on a daily basis, getting them to understand the seriousness of the problem, and that you need everybody to cooperate to help you through that. Then also to understand your own system. Where's the water going to come from? Because you cannot, in a drought, build you out of a problem. When you do that kind of research, you will see that if you build a big dam, evaporation becomes a big issue. So also our engineers saved us by being able in our system to shift the water from bigger dams to smaller dams. They actually bought us 30 days by doing that. And from that, we've invested a lot to be able to shift water between dams in our whole province, because we've learned that can get you through a drought. The restrictions on people must also go hand in hand with some water-wise tips, how they can help. And it's funny to see how people will stand up and help one another. We put together a register where we map the water usage of each household. So on a map where it's accessible to everybody in the community, you will be either green, yellow, or red, and then the community will hold you accountable. Doesn't have to be politicians. Your neighbor will tell you, listen, you're red, you use too much water. And through that, it really helped us. Looking forward, we obviously then need to understand that we cannot just build dams. We don't have the capacity, we don't have the budgets, but we do have underground water. That in itself, with geohydrologists, is a science on its own, but understanding the science behind it can help you with longer-term planning. We look at desalination on the coastal side areas. Yes, it's more energy, use more energy. That's also for us a problem, but you can bring it in with a solar plant that will carry the energy of that. It is more expensive, but if you put it into the whole system, the argument no water or expensive water becomes a reality. So bringing in also things like what each individual can do in their household, like rainwater harvesting, etc. With this, you combine it with the agriculture sector. That's a big role play in this. We designed a smart agriculture plan with agriculture, with organized agriculture. Selling that plan with them, doing the research behind different kind of cultivars that will give a better harvest with using less water, getting the whole industry to fall in behind. And then lastly, I think it's important that when you start realizing, because normally around about November, we start our plan for the next year, and we say, listen, we're in trouble this year again. We see a longer period of summer, more quicker rains, less rains is heading our way. So we start now with our plan, looking at when do agriculture need their water, put more restrictions on households and industry now, and support food security on the other hand. And when the harvest is over, you will then shift. But getting all the industries to work together is crucial for us and will save us going forward.
I see, very flexible plan, thank you. But since 1997, also, South Africa's constitution has guaranteed the right to water. The word dignity is also inside of it. What main structural and administrative challenges do you face, and how do you ensure that these rights really work in everyday life?
Yeah, our constitution very much based on human rights, the right to dignity, the right to water. Our system, our National Department of Water and Sanitation, they're responsible for bulk water, and our municipalities are responsible for the reticulation of water, getting water, clean, quality water to the households. In the Western Cape, we started in 2009 with this program to adhere to the conditions in the Constitution, because that's government's role, to see to it that poor people got access to water. So we sit today with 99.3% of our households got access to water, and 95% access to waterborne sewage. It's a great achievement in the context that we live, but we've got partners like the German government, Bavaria, that helped us getting there. This also happened in a context one of the 30th driest countries in the world, Mediterranean climate, and we face rapid droughts through climate change. But to just mention, the average water use in South Africa currently stands around about at 216 litres per person. The world's average is 173 litres, and in the Western Cape it's 160 litres. That is coming actually through from our drought, the never waste a good disaster. So it's coming through there, because even with a 19.6% population growth, we use today less water than what we've used in 2016. And that is for ongoing communication. On a weekly basis still today, we will send out to all our residents in the media, on social media, the levels of our dams, the conditions of our systems. We've designed a 15-year water plan to help our municipalities to understand the backlog in infrastructure, and then the budget that they need to address the backlog in infrastructure, but then sit with them and tell them, for South Africa to get, and for the Western Cape to get out of our troubles of poverty, it's through jobs. So economic growth is a lever. You must grow by 4%. If you're going to grow by 4%, this is the amount of water you need. If the population predictions are that you're going to grow by another 4%, this is the water you're going to need. And then we look at their water resources. So in the Karoo, it's underground water. We will work with geohydrologists and tell them by 3 years from now, you will hit your max from the groundwater system. So what other water can we bring in? So we will talk to them then about the investment in reuse, water, recycling of water, those kind of things. In the coastal area, we will bring in desalination, big issue that can be addressed. And through this, we've now, through the Danish government and the French government, helped us because, to be quite honest, I think the world is ready to invest in Africa, but Africa is not ready. So how do I get my projects investment ready? How do I take them from feasibility to bankability so that the private sector can come on board and help us and support us? So we've done our 17 projects with the French and Danish government that we're going to present in November to all the businessmen and women in the audience and say, here's 17 water and sanitation projects. Are you willing? Can you see this as a business opportunity? Saying that, it's government's role to see to it that every citizen's got a dignified life, and it's government responsibility to build that dignity basket. We've done a lot of research with the University of Stellenbosch and Cape Town, and it's a passion of mine because I think that's our role, to determine, first of all, what do you need? So our constitution speaks of 6 kiloliters of water. It's actually 15 kiloliters of water. 50 units of electricity is actually 150 units of electricity. It's a huge challenge, but that's what we owe the people. And that's what we're working towards.
Thank you, Mr. Bredell. Dr. Bach, you also have some projects in South Africa with your company Vista. Maybe you can explain how you help the people from over there in the agricultural way, because we just learned no water, no food, and the agricultural companies are the ones who are taking the most of the water, and you are helping them to do it better, right?
Yes, we are trying so. Thank you very much that I can be here. I think we are really technology providers, and we are serving our customers that are mainly farmers all over the world, to work to produce food in a good quality with less input, less fertilizer, less water, less energy. And water is of course one very central thing, especially in South Africa and also in Zambia. And what we deliver there is very practically is give advice to the farmers every week, tell them which field needs how much water next week to be irrigated, maybe if, with the constraints they have, with the technical constraints, and that we look for the needs of the crops during the specific season and then optimize water use for his field. And that looks now, I think it is a quite funny way of working together somehow. We do the simulations and all the analysis in Munich, in our Munich office, deliver it digitally to a portal there, they have access to it. And then every 1 or 2 weeks we have a call or virtual conference, and then we discuss what we which decision support we gave to them, and then they decide and find out and learn step by step how to use this information, the new information technology. And that's quite fascinating to work from continent to continent. And actually what we learned there and what we built up for Zambia, for South Africa, is now in a stage that we can transfer to the global north, because now we also offer these services to Germany, because we also have here water issues, as you explained, and we can use it now also to learn from this.
Can you describe a specific case where technology significantly reduces the water in Zambia, maybe, or wherever?
Well, maybe first I have to a little bit explain what is all into when we give the advice. How is this organized, or how can you create this information? It is very important that we use satellite data for this. Satellite data are available globally, and you have a rich data source that is made available by the European Space Agency, which, by the way, has 50-year celebration just the last days. And the colleagues there made a very excellent job. They have now satellites in their orbit that gives us every day, almost every day, information on the water resources, the status of the water resources, and of the agriculture monitoring of the health there of the crops. And with this information we can build up decision support systems onto that. And also very important, the data is free and open available. You don't have to pay for it. That is the baseline that everybody in the globe can use it. But you have to learn how to get information and decision support out of it. There's one option to use AI. Of course, we are using this as well, doing crop type classification so that you know this better. But we are more focused on really decision support, where you need more. You need a better understanding what the crops need, how they grow, which water needs they have. And for this, we developed digital twins. And with the digital twins, we can really do different scenarios. You can say, what happens if you would irrigate this with this amount of fertilizer? How much yield would you get? What will be the quality of your grassland or of your protein content of the wheat? This is decision support that you give to them in this scenario. And this allows us to give this information on the right time for planting, for fertilization, for water, and also the harvest time. And at the end, we also give yield forecasts that they know how much yield we could expect. And with these tools, we really can reduce the input that farmers need on average by 20%. Whether it's water or fertilizer, we can reuse this because we really give the crops exactly what they need at the right time. And that is, of course, a lot of cost that is saving. It's good for sustainable development of the soil as well, that improves soil health. And it also reduces energy consumption. It's also quite important, because if you irrigate, you also use a lot of energy for irrigation. And one concrete example was in Zambia, that they had a rainy season that was not really a rainy season, and the reservoirs were not full in Zambia. And then we could advise to the farmer specifically how many of your fields can you grow and get a very good yield on that with a limited amount of water. So he could still have a good harvest and obtain a lot of wheat for Zambia. And that was, of course, quite helpful that we could show it. Or also for the case with AKTC, where Mr. Rainer mentioned that you have this training and knowledge center in Zambia. There we also give advice how to irrigate and have this example irrigation system that we can train the farmers there and show how it works. That's very helpful. And I think that is also maybe a good example where this training center is also connected to the German industry, the ag businesses, and we are also there and can show our capabilities there. And so it's not only training and learning, it's also that bringing our knowledge and technology via these ways. I think that is quite successful.
Thank you, Dr. Bach, for this glimpse into the future of agriculture with AI and KI on the rise. Mr. Mogge, let's talk about infrastructure and water. Can you share a specific project where improved water infrastructure has significantly increased food security?
Yeah, thank you very much also for having me here today. Welthungerhilfe is one of the largest NGOs, and we have currently 600 projects running, so it was not easy to select this single project which displays a little bit of what we do. So I'm happy that I selected an example from the Caribbean, actually, from Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, where we have a program funded by the International Climate Initiative of the German government, of the Ministry of the Environment, which is conducted together with Oro Verde, another smaller NGO here in Germany. And national partners. And there we pursue a so-called ecosystem-based approach, which looks in a more holistic way on food security, agriculture, and water. Because we are convinced that you need this kind of more system lens. You need to understand what the system is and where the problems are. And some of the problems people are facing, we have heard already. I mean, a lot of drought spells, high food insecurity, extreme weather events because of climate change, deforestation, erosion, poor soil and water management. So there is really a long list of problems. And most prominently, maybe, failing water systems. Very often water systems are not designed, are not planned in a way that they really sustain in the long term. And therefore we need to change our approach. And therefore we have taken a very holistic approach here, where we combine nature-based solutions with green-gray water infrastructure systems. So we're looking at the green system, so we're looking at the forest, for example, we're looking at agriculture, and at the same time we're looking at irrigation infrastructure, which is more the grain, the concrete, where you construct something. And this needs to be taken together. Otherwise, you solve a problem here in constructing an irrigation system, but maybe the forest around you is more and more deforested, and then there is no water coming anymore. No water in the ground, no water in the various streams. And therefore, we're always arguing you need this kind of holistic system lens approach. And also Anton mentioned that we have to take the people, the communities very, very seriously, and we have to involve them in the planning. In particular youth, in particular women, we have to make them the actually leaders of their development in their communities. This is really, really important. Just some results of this project. Water availability has improved. People have a better food security. And what is most important maybe here is that the government, the authorities, have taken up this eco-based system approach in their policies, in particular in their disaster risk management policies. And we're very happy that this bigger program was very well received by governments in these 3 countries, and that they take these results very seriously.
You talked a lot about the system and how much important a special system is and the holistic approach to these problems. But again, what key conditions must be met for water-related development projects to succeed, and what structural or political obstacles do you often encounter in putting it on the ground?
Yeah, just a couple of key conditions maybe. There must be political will. There is no political will, and I'm very happy to hear that in South Africa some key conditions, the right to water, the right to food is embedded in the constitution. This is very important, and we shouldn't underestimate that this has a very significant impact. So political will and adequate investments. So budgets also needs to be there for public spending. Then we need, I think, context-specific innovations. I think we need really innovations again and again and again, but they need to be context-specific, low-cost, repairable, recyclable, scalable. This is very, very important here. Welthungerhilfe has a lot of experience in innovation, and we are making really an effort in promoting business innovations, local business innovations, where small companies really bring innovations to the market. And it's not just a project, it's a business, so it runs continuously. Third, I think we need this integrated cross-sectoral planning involving water, agriculture, climate, health, food systems. So they need to be addressed together. And last but not least, and that was also mentioned already, we need governments who are able to coordinate and activate the various actors there are. For example, the public sector, the private sector, very importantly, but also civil society. Make them part of it. And last not but least, research. I think research is a very, very important actor when it comes to fostering innovation and to tackle the problems we have talked about. I mean, obstacles, to be honest, at the moment, we are in a very, very difficult situation because public budgets for all these kind of problems we are talking about are going down. It's not only the US, but it's also globally, budgets are going down for these kind of investments, and we need these kind of investments. First of all, for the people, for the most disadvantaged people, but also to save our planet, very simply.
Thank you very much. It's a complex topic. We just had a few insights now. I learned a lot. Social media is very important. KI can help agriculture. A holistic, systematic approach is the way to solve the problems for the future. So many thanks for your insights and the participation of this panel. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
I may now announce our next speaker, Executive Director, UN Habitat, Anna Claudia Rosbach. Welcome on stage.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I would like to appreciate the invitation and the organization of this amazing conference, but also the insights from the panelists, which I pretty much appreciated. I would like to bring one more element. Minister was talking at the beginning on the need to harmonize the water needs of the agriculture and the industry. And I would like to bring one more element that all of you actually mentioned, which is people, right? So people have needs, and they need to be part of this equation as well. So UN Habitat deals with urbanization, with cities and communities. So I would like to add this extra lens to the discussion here today. We need to pay attention to the dynamics of urbanization. Right now, what's going on is that we are growing more in territory than in population, at least 50%, right? So, and big part of that is related to housing, the way we live and the way we build our houses. And here I'm talking about all types of houses. I'm talking about housing the rich, housing the poor. In the Global South, for example, we have urban expansion. Let's look at Africa, let's look at Peru, in Latin America, South Asian countries, where the urban sprawl is happening informally through slums and informal settlements, right? But we also have gated communities and, in this family houses type of residences that are actually contributing to urban sprawl. The pace of urban sprawl is affecting our natural surroundings, is affecting water, the source, and it's affecting also food security. And this is very important for us to pay attention. Right now, cities are suffering. We spoke about the droughts in Cape Town, but also São Paulo, where I come from, years ago was heavily affected by droughts, Bogota in Latin America, and we also have floodings in Nigeria, floodings in Kenya, floodings in Bangladesh, floodings here in Europe, right? So they are affecting, cities are suffering from excess or scarcity of waters. But then if we zoom in, we see that there's a group of the population that's suffering more. We have 1 billion people living in informal settlements, and we have almost 2 billion people without access to adequate water. So how can we combine and harmonize that, overcome the infrastructure gaps, attending these needs, and looking at what's happening in terms of the influx of people coming to cities? Just in Africa, 800 million in the next 25 years, 1.2 billion in Asia Pacific. So what we have to do? It's very important that we look carefully at housing policies, and we support housing policies. And at the moment, we are living a global housing crisis here in Europe and everywhere else. Affordability crisis is critical. Homelessness, informality, I already spoke about. It's very important that we bring water at the center and work on the rural-urban linkages. And here is where the collaboration among the UN system can play a role. All of you spoke about having integrated, comprehensive, holistic approach. All of you spoke about context-specific and working with communities, so dialogue, political will, right? These were the words that you mentioned, and engaging people within the solution. We are in a city. Multi-level governance is critical. The minister spoke, Western Cape spoke. So it's very important that we look at multi-level governance and look at the solutions that are combined, harmonized, and aligned. We, from UN Habitat, we are putting, we just approved our new strategic plan, and we put housing, access to housing, land, recognizing the social and ecological function of the land, water, basic services, and transformation of informal settlements at the center. And we hope that doing that, and in collaboration with the UN system, and we work together in Lebanon, in Egypt, we will be able also to support the agenda, the climate agenda, the poverty agenda. You mentioned poverty, but also all the crises that we are facing. And we propose that we harmonize the needs that we have, because in doing that, we'll collectively overcome the common challenges that we have in the planet. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your remarks, Ms. Rosbach. Ich möchte nun noch erneut einmal den Bundesminister für Ernährung, Landwirtschaft und Heimat ankündigen. Herr Rainer, darf ich Sie bitten? Danke.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, wir kommen nun zum Ende. Ich danke Ihnen allen sehr herzlich, vor allem allen denjenigen, die gesprochen haben. Sie haben mit Ihrem Engagement und Ihrer Offenheit sehr zum Gelingen dieser Veranstaltung beigetragen. Mein besonderer Dank gilt Ihnen, liebe Frau Schmitz, für die Moderation. Die heutige Diskussion hat eindrucksvoll unterstrichen, wie zentral das Thema Wasser für die Landwirtschaft ist und damit für unser aller Zukunft. Und ich wollte gerade sagen, nicht nur für die Landwirtschaft, sondern auch für die Menschen. Für alle unsere Menschen und für unseren Planeten ist das Thema Wasser essentiell. Ich freue mich daher sehr auf die Fortsetzung und die nächsten gemeinsamen Schritte. Wie bereits angekündigt, werden wir uns beim nächsten Global Forum for Food and Agriculture im Januar 2026 in Berlin intensiv mit dem Thema Wassernutzung in der Landwirtschaft befassen. Ein wichtiger Meilenstein wird die nächste große UN-Wasserkonferenz auch im Januar 2026 sein, deren Vorbereitungen bereits begonnen haben. Und ich bin zuversichtlich, dass wir die heute gewonnenen Impulse in diesen Prozess einbringen und gemeinsam weiterentwickeln werden. Ich wünsche Ihnen viele anregende Gespräche und viel Erfolg bei Ihren Projekten. Lassen Sie uns alle gemeinsam dafür sorgen, dass Wasser auch in Zukunft die Grundlage unseres Lebens und unserer Landwirtschaft bleibt. In diesem Sinne, herzlichen Dank, alles Gute, bleiben Sie gesund.